We're back on the air again. We got a full house night here at colbertradio.com. And Percy Hugo is now going to deal with the political because that's your bailiwick. So go ahead, Percy.
Absolutely. And this time I'm going to try and take a more of an, it is political, but it's going to be more of an apolitical stance on this one.
Can you do that?
Yes. This is going to be kind of middle of the road, and you'll understand what I mean.
Is that what I'm paying you to do, to be apolitical?
Middle of the road.
You keep telling me I'm to the right of Attila the Hun, okay? I'm sitting in a room with a liberal. If I was to the right of Attila the Hun,
yeah,
I
but
would
that's
have
what
shot
draws
him
The
with
only
an
thing
arrow.
middle of the road is a bunch of dotted lines and dead animals.
Oh.
That's prophetic.
Dickie from somewhere else.
Whoa, the Dickster.
So
Anyway, go ahead.
So
Your
we'll just
segment.
all, drift off.
What do you
with
want
the
to talk
runoff.
about?
Anyways,
What can we interrupt
there's
you about?
it doesn't matter. There's an act that passed through Congress called the Stolen Valor Act. Have any of you ever heard of it?
Yes.
What is the Stolen Valor Act?
It's illegal for a person to wear any ribbon or medal issued by the United States Armed Forces for things that they have not done.
Right. You can't wear medals you haven't earned. Or at
You have
least,
to earn them.
At least until this week, you couldn't. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has now twice, not just once, but twice, ruled that telling somebody or making it a crime to wear ribbons you haven't earned is a violation of one's freedom of speech.
Now, did he wear the ribbons, or did he claim to be not?
Who is he?
This is the first case is in July. A guy named Strandloff. And
I remember reading this case.
The most recent ruling was this past week on a gentleman named Xavier Alvarez. They both claim to have won medals in combat, Purple Hearts, Medals of Honor, things like that. We recently had an Army second lieutenant who claimed to be a SEAL. These guys are falsifying their military records for the purposes of either buffing up their. No, he said that while he was an enlisted man in the Navy, he's in the Army Guard now. He said that while he was an enlisted man in the Navy, he went through SEAL training and became a full Trident SEAL. He actually went through 2 weeks of buds before he quit. But he still wore the seal, which is, of course, a disgrace to the memory of all those who have died wearing the seal trident. And
This is a disgraceful person.
It is a disgrace. It's a disgrace to anybody.
He's a disgraceful person.
Sure, he is.
Anyone who would do that is a disgraceful person.
And then there's a if you go to stolenvalor.com, there's a list of people who are guilty of these offenses. All of them.
All members of Congress, no doubt.
And their there I go again. Their prosecutions, if it was a criminal case, whether or not they got any jail time for it. All of these people are going to be able to appeal now. Or will be
the cases will be dropped.
Or the cases will be dropped, and they'll be exonerated. They'll be all the charges.
What did the courts rule?
I'm sorry, say again.
What did the courts rule?
2-1 in favor of dropping, or that the law is unconstitutional. Because it violates free speech.
Now, is this for wearing the medal or claiming?
It's either. It's either by verbal or by written.
Well, let me ask you this: how does that apply to portraying someone, for example, in television or the films, wearing the medals and that sort of thing?
No. That's not for any purpose of gain.
What if you go to a garage sale and you find a Purple Heart and stick it on?
Okay, what the
law
specific? No, the Stolen Valor Act specifically claims for the purpose of financial or any sort of gain. Yeah, you can't put it on your resume. You can't wear it.
Drew's got stuff. He's a collector.
Yes,
World War II
If you collect medals and things like that, or if you're like, there's a group of people who support veterans who have come back with the Purple Heart. They have a Purple Heart on their logo. That's fine. None of them are claiming, in order to get employment, to have earned a Purple Heart.
I just think it's a really low.
There was a news
sort of
station.
game.
Yeah, there was a news station that reported that this guy who had served in Iraq had won a Purple Heart. And up until that point, he had only been offered basic clerical jobs, but as soon as they found out he had won the Purple Heart, he got offered jobs from the Highway Patrol, things like that. He never won it. He was never injured. So, my question for this, as far as free speech, does free speech protect fraud?
No, it doesn't.
And it doesn't. And there's a Supreme Court ruling that says you can't scream fire in a crowded theater.
Well, this is not going to stand. You don't actually expect this is going to stand.
And another thing is,
it's a jackass federal appellate court.
This is the only
bunch
one.
Of loons.
It's the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. It's the Ninth Circuit.
Oh, the Ninth Circuit is one of the worst. Washington D.C.
Right now, hold on. This is my point, though. If you get into this as a matter of free speech, right, then is it wrong for me to print out my own college degree? Is it then wrong for me to title myself whatever I want?
Hey, I have a master's from MIT. Screw you.
That's right. And you can't prove otherwise to any book. That's not the type of free speech that the First Amendment protects. The First Amendment protects offensive speech. It does. It protects speech we don't like. but it doesn't protect fraudulent
As long
speech.
as the speech does not endanger.
Right, and this is endangering
individuals.
anybody who's actually won these medals. It's actually making life more difficult for the people who have gone out and laid down their lives in some cases to earn these things.
There have been a lot of these lately.
And it's
in Congress, actually.
It's
for
despicable.
people running for
oh,
office.
yeah. We had the guy from
Been a
Connecticut.
lot of this.
Oh, yeah. And
Republican and Democrat.
it goes
It's been on
beyond-
both sides.
It goes beyond party. But and as far as now, my question is, how do we prosecute anyone for perjury or fraud in this case?
You don't have to worry about that. Perjury's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Perjury's okay.
Perjury will be
You already
fine.
learned that.
So
Depends what
this
the
is, but
definition
this
of
is my question.
perjury is.
This is my big question about this. If it's unconstitutional to wear medals you didn't earn, is it also unconstitutional to tell people they have to buy health care? Or is it also unconstitutional to tell people they can't eat trans fats? Where do we start drawing the line on either political side as to when we use the Constitution as a matter of convenience? Right? I'll agree with the liberal side that George Bush decided that it was, or that George Bush was not constitutional in seeking permission for the war. He put it to a vote, but he didn't specifically ask for a war against a nation. I'll give you that. But it is also not constitutional to do some of the things they are doing, and this, specifically, the Stolen Valor Act, is constitutional. It protects the American people from fraud. It doesn't protect people's free, or it doesn't violate anybody's free speech, because the free speech it's based on is purely fraudulent.
One of the things that I try to teach to my students is that just because you have a liberty doesn't mean someone else isn't going to try and prevent you from using it.
That's right.
You have to be prepared to stand up for yourself.
It's true.
You have to be prepared to speak out.
Just because you have the right to do something
Just
doesn't
because you
mean
have
it's
it
right to
doesn't
do it.
mean that's right. It doesn't mean they're going to let you either. You better be prepared to stand up for yourself, and the less you know, the more authority you give someone else over your own life. And if there's one thing conservatism is about, it's about empowering the individual
to know what their rights are, because it's your responsibility. But not only that,
I think more so than just rights, I think liberty.
Right.
I've come to the conclusion at this point that liberty is a far more important thing now than rights.
Sure,
because
absolutely.
they've expanded the concept of what a right is so far. It's pretty absurd.
Well, yeah, we've kind of twisted that definition. So
The rights, they think these rights don't exist.
The life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is certain inalienable rights.
That has no force of law.
Sure, it's in a declaration, not in a
That's right.
constitution.
I think I'm gonna start calling myself Sir.
Sir Drew Colbert.
He was knighted by the Queen. Prove he wasn't.
Let me ask you this. If you get an honorary doctorate, people call you doctor?
Well,
Yeah, if I get that means if I get a diploma from the diploma mill, my school district has to pay me more.
That's right.
Here it is.
I just now.
Claim you're a doctor if you got a
honorary doctor.
As far as the rights
I'm
part,
sorry, we keep interrupting you, but you're going to have to try and finish.
I'm gonna try and finish it. It's
Okay,
As
let's
far
let
as-
him finish.
As far as
Shame on you.
As far as the rights part of this goes, someone can sit there and argue on a constitutional basis that this violates someone's First Amendment right to lie, and I'll give you that. You know what? I'll even say that's fine.
Did you
Whatever
say
you
First
want.
Amendment right to lie?
That's right. Freedom of speech is I
Go
guess
ahead.
lying falls under that, because these guys in the Ninth Circuit are far smarter than I am about this stuff. But what the real violation here is not the people who are wearing these medals, but the people who have actually earned them. There are people coming back in coffins right now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
for whatever reason they're fighting, or for whatever your perspective on the war, men and women are dying. And they're being awarded these medals posthumously as some sort of thank you from this country to their
That's right.
family. And you want to step in and steal that. It shouldn't be called stolen valor. It should be called borrowed cowardice. Because you haven't earned any valor. You haven't taken any valor from these people. All you've done is shown how much of a coward and your petty jealousy over what someone else earned and you didn't.
Well, thank you, Joe. Percy, I get it again. Thank you, Percy. Anyway, we side with you on this.
Sure.
We'll be right back with colbertradio.com.